Tonight, my guest is Melrose Maroh, a missionary and the author of Consuming Passion, the story of her late husband, Joseph Maroh. Maroh shares about the life of Joseph, his passion and unconsuming passion for the Lord and for the lost, as well as the romantic life they had together. She then walks us through the pain of his sudden death on the mission field and the challenge of widowhood, as well as that of raising 3 sons as a single mother, and how she has managed to continue pursuing her call to reach the Muslims as a missionary all these 21 years. Tonight on James Talk Africa.
From Cape Town to Cairo and from Mogadishu to Dakar, this is James Talk Africa. And now here's your host, Chim Onyibilanma.
Welcome, dear viewer, to this segment of your show. Like I said in the intro, my guest today is a dear friend of mine. Melrose Maroh is a missionary with Calvary Ministries, Capro. She's served with Capro for how long now, Melrose?
For about 33 years.
33 years. You should have a medal, huh? Well, Melrose is here. Thank you so much, Melrose, for coming. Melrose, you're here because of your book. Melrose is a widow and has written a book about the life of her husband, Joseph Maroh. And you and Joseph were married up till 21 years ago when he died. And this book first came out 20 years ago, actually.
Yes.
But you republished it last year, and that's why we want to talk about it. Consuming Passion. Now, let's start, first of all, with you. How did you meet Joseph? How did you get into missions, and how did you meet Joseph?
Well, I got to know about missions when I was in the university. Capro came to my school, University of Jos, to do mission awareness program. That's how I got to know about missions. But prior to this time, I had had the call of God upon my life. But I didn't know the direction it was to go until I met Capro in 1983. So that's when I got to know that it was going to be missions. So I did my youth service with Capro.
And youth service is the 1-year compulsory thing that Nigerians do after tertiary education. Go ahead.
Okay, so I did my youth service with Capro with the intention to go back and do a secular job before coming back. But during that period of my youth service, God convinced me to continue with Capro as a missionary. So that's how I became a missionary in 1987 with Capro and served in various places in Nigeria before going over to Niger. But just before I left for Niger, I was working in a school of mission as a trainer. So I was among those that interviewed my would-be husband, Joseph Maroh, when he came to become a student. So during the interview, I was so impressed with his life, with his testimony. And after the interview, God convinced me he was to be my husband.
But that was before you left for Niger Republic?
That was just before I left for Niger Republic. But of course, I didn't know anything that was in his mind. So I left for Niger Republic as a missionary. That was January 1990. So by May 1990, the same 1990, I came back to Nigeria to attend my twin sister's wedding. I'm a twin.
We didn't mention that you're a twin. And she looks very much like you. And you guys have this, you are Melrose and she's Rosemary.
Yes.
Go on.
Okay, so when I came for my twin sister's wedding, we met, Joseph and I met. I had a burden to go to Nigeria as a missionary. But the ministry asked him to go through Niger Republic. So he just wanted some information from me. So I gave him some information about Niger. So when I went back to Niger, we started communicating by letter writing. Then the next year, I came back to Nigeria for end-of-year program, last day's gathering. So we met again. It was then he proposed to me, and that's how we met. And we got married in 1991.
Wow. Okay. And you describe in the book how beautiful your life as a wife, married to Joseph, was. It looked like something like out of a love story book. Tell us just a bit about that life with Joseph as a wife. Actually,
it started with when God convinced me about him as my husband, because he had all the qualities I had always longed for, I had always dreamed about in a man, physically, spiritually, and the rest. I'm very romantic in nature. So when we got married, I discovered he was too spiritual, so to say, about those kind of issues. But I convinced him that we were still on earth. He needed to be earthly. So what I admired about him was the fact that he was willing to adjust because of me. So I told him the kind of things that I wanted from him as a husband. He must buy love cards, romantic cards for me. He must take me out for dinner. And he must never forget my birthday. If he ever does that, that would be a very serious offense. So he adjusted. He made sure that my birthday was always very special. He would either take me out, or he makes sure that he does the cooking throughout that day, or we go out as a family for picnic. Then he also makes sure that he gives me romantic cards from time to time, and all those kinds of things. So I really appreciated that about his life. And then the children, when the children started coming, he showed a lot of love for them. I remember when he died, my first son was just 5 years old. So I was asking, what do you remember about your dad? He said he used to heal the sick, he used to buy things for us, he cared so much for us. And he was asking me, is it a sin to love my dad more than I love Jesus? I said, no, you can't love anybody more than you love Jesus. So that showed the impact he also had
on the small boy.
On the small boy at that time. So it was a very lovely home. It wasn't as if it was perfect.
Yeah.
No marriage is perfect.
No home is perfect.
But he was my ideal man. I married my ideal man. It was a romantic relationship we had.
Was that why you decided to write this book?
Not only that. One of the reasons I really decided to write the book was that his life really influenced me. And I wanted it to be a blessing to the life of other people. Because reading through his life, you saw a man that was consumed by God. I really wanted to live for God. So there's a lot of things in his life I wanted other people to benefit from.
Let's talk about how Joseph died. I remember it was 98, right? I was passing through Lagos, and I remember when the call came. First he was ill, then suddenly he died. Walk us through it. How did this happen, and tell us how you felt about it.
Actually, it happened while we were still working as missionaries in the Niger Republic. It started by him not being able to sleep well in the night, was having sleepless problems. So we went to see the doctor, then they discovered he had some heart issue, and he was treated. We came back, but he was still having the sleepless problems. So just felt maybe it was because of the stress of the work he was doing, because he was doing so much as a missionary in the Niger Republic. So we decided to go over to a friend's place to rest for some time, for him to be relieved of the stress. But the sleepless problem still persisted. It was very bad. He couldn't sleep in the night, in the afternoon, any other time of the day, even though he was on some medications. So eventually our leaders asked us to come over to Nigeria so he could see a doctor properly. So we came over to Ibadan, to UCH Ibadan.
Which is the southwest of Nigeria.
To see a doctor. So they started treating him, both for the heart issue and other issues. Then I started noticing that he was losing a lot of weight. At a point he was so weak, he couldn't stand up by himself to do anything. So we felt, I called my leaders. I remember that time, I called Brother Pade Tokun, who was in Ibadan. Brother Amos, when Brother Amos' house, but he was not around, he had traveled.
These are leaders in Capro.
Yes, I called Brother Pade, I called Brother Ni Igbade. Brother Ni Igbade came, so we took him over to the hospital that evening. So when they were examining him, they came out to ask me if he had any case of diabetes. And I said no, that I never knew anything about that. Prior to this time, I discovered he was urinating very frequently. So they did some tests to discover that he had diabetes.
Okay.
So they then started treating him that evening on diabetes. And so I remember a friend of Capro, Dr. Ghana, who's now a missionary, but he was still a doctor at that time in Ibadan. He was among the doctors that were treating him. So at a point, I was in the room where they were treating him. At a point, they drove me out of the room because then I went out. I was still praying. I had so much faith and trust that nothing would happen.
Didn't you suspect something once they started driving you out of the room?
Did I really suspect? I was so confident that God would not allow anything to happen
to him. Okay.
So we had sent a prayer point to friends all over that he was sick. So people were praying. So I was so confident nothing would happen to him. So as I was outside that night, I remember Dr. Ghana came out. The way he was coming with a lot of confidence. I thought he was coming to give me good news. Only for him to come and tell me that he's sorry my husband had passed away.
Did you believe it?
I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it because...
How did you... You just go ahead and say, how did you feel?
Well, I just felt, no, this cannot happen. No. This was a man that had so much faith in God. I never believed in being sick. No, this cannot happen. I was not believing it. Until Brother Nigbade also came out and confirmed it. That's when I finally believed it. And when I believed, I just thought my world had collapsed. Because he was my everything.
Everything.
Yes, I just... Thank you. I just felt...
I'm sure you're reliving it once again. It's 21 years, but it's still...
It's still very
so fresh.
Still very fresh. I just felt there was no meaning for me in life again, and all those kinds of things. So it was a very difficult situation for me because, we had a very close relationship. And he was very strong. He was always there. He was the one that does almost everything. He kind of pampered me, which I'm very angry about right now. because I felt he pampered me, and now he's no longer there. I have to
how
struggle.
you gonna survive?
Yes, I was going to struggle. By the time he died, our children were very young. My first child was 5 years old. My second was 3. My last was just 1 year old.
So it looked impossible.
So it looked impossible that I would be able to cope with taking care of the children. They're all boys. And I'm very delicate. So I felt, how will I cope with taking care of these boys?
It was like a death sentence
It was like a death sentence on me.
Yourself.
Yes. So for over a year, I was kind of depressed. I thought I would never be happy again. But after some time, I started gathering courage. Initially, I was not able to pray. I was not able to read my Bible. For quite
you
some
must have
time.
felt angry at God.
Of course, I was very angry at God. I felt, one of the reasons I was very angry with God was that I felt this was a man that was ready to serve you with the whole of his heart. A missionary.
Give everything
Give
up.
everything for you. Missionary to the core. And you are looking for a missionary. This was somebody who was ready to serve you. Then why did you take him away? And the work is still so much that needs to be done. So one of the reasons I was very angry with God. And another second reason was because of our close relationship. Will I ever find anybody like him
It's like
again?
God stealing away something so precious.
He gave me something so precious, and he's
just
taking
took
it
it
away.
away.
So that was one of the reasons. Some of the reasons I was very angry with God.
You know what we're going to do, Melrose? We're going to take a short break, get our bread back. And then when we come back, we're going to find out how you resolved your things with God and the wonderful things that happened. But we'll explore more about Joseph and all that. Dear viewers, I smile because I'm part of the story. I know a bit of it, but it's to say we'll take a short break. We'll be talking about the book, Consuming Passion. I'll read out what is up here. I can do all other aspects of the work. If then I must fulfill my call, I have no option but to go to the foreign field. That was Joseph there. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with this very touching story of Melrose's life with Joseph Maroh, and then the life afterwards. Please don't go away.
Hi there, thanks for watching this video. I want you to do 4 things before you go away. Number 1, click on the subscribe button here, and then number 2, click on the bell button. That will allow you to get an alert every time we post a new video, and we're posting new videos, edifying interviews and edifying words every week. Number 3, please leave a comment on that. Let us know what you think, whether good or bad. And lastly, share this channel with your friends. Let them know that something is happening here. Thank you for joining us. Keep coming back.